Today's DecaDish with me, Dana, is about Tom Girardi and an update on the case. And I'm going to tell you some things that a lot of people haven't explained or reported on in this 10-minute segment. So Tom Girardi and David Lira are sort of relatives. So just so you know who David Lira was one of the not really partners, but sort of acted like a partner in Girardi Keese, okay? So he's an established lawyer in his own right. He's also Tom Girardi's son-in-law, meaning Tom's daughter from a previous marriage before Erika Jayne Girardi was married to David Lira. Now, David Lira does appear on Girardi Financial, a company associated with Tom Girardi, and oddly left out of the paperwork that the trustee presented to the court. I thought that was kind of weird. But anyway, the other person that was listed in this weird company, Girardi Financial, that I just mentioned as a director was Erika Jayne Girardi. So it does seem to establish that Erika Girardi had some sort of a close relationship with David Lira, not only through her family connection, but also through, being on a corporate entity with him. Anywho, interesting. So David Lira essentially won a case with Tom Girardi against the California lottery for one of their victims. And they did a very questionable thing, which is they basically went into the judge and said, listen, we've been awarded, meaning Tom Girardi and David Lira, a bunch of legal fees, and we would like to see those legal fees directly paid to our spouses So Tom Girardi and David Lira do this under the guise of retirement planning. And what they're basically saying to the judge is we want to make sure that our spouses are well taken care of if something happens to us. So we want to divert our legal fees instead of to our law firm, Girardi Keese, to them directly. Now, this is a very questionable practice. This is not what an attorney ever is supposed to do. He's supposed to receive his funds that are directed to his legal fees and his separate account for his law firm. And then that can be used for whatever he sees fit for his law firm. But you're not supposed to skip that step. So, and judges unusually don't police lawyers. That's not their job. Their job is to make sure that proceedings move ahead, they move ahead in a timely fashion, that procedure is being followed properly, but they don't police the lawyers. So if a lawyer asks a judge to do a questionable thing, generally the judge is not going to question the attorney. That's their job to know the ethics. They're an officer of the court. That's their job to, you police your own self, basically. So anyway, Tom Girardi's daughter got $372,000 in diverted legal fees. That was what she was, given through David Lira's agreement with the court. And then Ronald Richards, in his amended complaint, stated that the defendants, meaning Tom Girardi and Erika Jayne, received more than $242,000, $658 in payments from the state of California lottery from 2012 and 2021. The defendants are scheduled to still receive $78,000 in payments from the state of California lottery in years 2022 to 2025. So they're still going to get money. And then you can bet your bottom dollar that the trustee doesn't want them to take that money any further. They're already going to try to claw back the money they've already received from this transaction. Favorite part of Ronald's complaint, okay? By the way, I've had Ronald on my show, Dishing Drama Dana, a few times, so you guys know in case you want to hear those. Him and I tend to fight, but in a loving way. He says in his complaint, the defendants are scheduled to still receive $78,000 in payments from the state of California lottery in years 2022 through 2025. The payments are part of a continuous course of conduct and are ongoing. Erika directly agreed to receive the payments, personally signed the lottery forms directing the payments to her, and on information and belief approved the stipulation authorizing the payments to her. Eric even withheld the 2021 payment At all times prior to 2021, Erika concealed the existence of the lottery payment settlement and payment instructions. So that means that they believe Erika did know what was transpiring in at least this transaction, which they're saying shows that she, their perspective on it is that this was an unethical transaction that should have been questioned, and neither Tom Girardi's daughter nor Erika questioned it. And retirement planning is not really an ethical response to this type of thing. You're not supposed to do this, okay? You're just not. It's not industry standard for lawyers to do. So they now feel like she did not, if she had said, hey, I was given this money, I'm not sure if I can keep it. Can I keep it? They may have taken a different view. They may have said, geez, she's being so forthcoming. Let's even let her keep some of it. Their attitude is that she's concealed this transaction from the trustee of the bankruptcy. She's intentionally done it, and therefore they can't they can make the leap that she might have done this with other transactions, and they're holding her fully responsible for all the money that she received from Girardi Keese, which they feel she shouldn't have received in the way she received it because it wasn't accounted properly. And there were no agreements governing the relationship. And the trustee says it would be a miscarriage of justice if Erika Girardi was allowed to simply walk away completely free with $25 million of the estate, especially, that I guess was spent in the last 5 years. And the trustee in a bankruptcy is allowed to claw back any transactions they feel are questionable in the last 5 years to avoid abuse of the system, that the debtor isn't trying to move money or hide money. A lot of you guys wanted to know, what about the other attorneys that were acting like partners in Girardi Keese? The reason I say acting over and over again is because they are claiming that they never were partners in any real way in Girardi Keese, and Tom was really the only guy that ran the show. But in truth, David Lira and Keith Griffin seem to be acting like partners. And so there was a hearing set for this week that Judge Durkin was going to have to hear evidence as to why David Lira and Keith Griffin, as perceived partners, Girardi Keese, did not tell the clients that their money was being misallocated and seemed to know about it. So seemed to know that their client funds were being taken illegally, and David Lira and Keith Griffin did not report it to a judge or to a cop or to somebody to let them know this was happening. The judge is trying to get a $2 million contempt order against David Lira and Keith Griffin on the basis that they should have, notified someone that this was happening at a minimum. And so they were supposed to do the hearing this week, but due to COVID, they had to push the hearing out, unfortunately. But I know a lot of you guys were wondering what's happening to all the other people that were aware of this wrongdoing. I'm not going to lie. There's a lot of things that are very strange for me in this. Like almost any other human, I mean this, any other human, within this group of men within Girardi Keese would be already indicted. I don't get it. I don't understand the justice system really. I do my best. I always talk about how I think there needs to be serious reform. I've even talked about it with Jay Edelson, that there's been a need to have the plaintiff bar reformed desperately. Hey, you guys, if you like my 10-minute DecaDish gossip sesh, then please do subscribe and promote it, because I've got to get a certain amount of subscribers and viewership in order to be able to continue. So please do. And I appreciate it, of course. And then Instagram, I'm Wilkie_Dana. I post some gossip on there. I also have a Patreon called Dishing Drama Dana Wilkey, which is next level gossip. It's like my Reddit. And there's so much content in there. You'll love it. It's been around for about 6 months and so many posts. And you can go back in time, so none of it gets stale. What else did I want to say? Oh, I'm on Twitter too, at Dana Wilkey, but I'm less active on Twitter these days. But what the hell? Just follow me anyway.